What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Slap.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
What is up, everybody? Rivals back every Monday, 10:30 p.m. We are back. We got Penn State, unfortunate collapse. We got some Birds talk, some Giants talk, some World Series talk, and much more. But before we get into it, we want to kick it off to our sponsor for tonight. Our sponsor for tonight is Gleason's Bar and Grill. Gleason's Bar is located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Use promo code ATD for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out, or online. That's Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. And off on the Penn State tangent, our poll question for tonight is Penn State should fire head coach James Franklin. I think we're pretty unanimous across the board. I honestly wasn't about it going into this week. You know, he's done a tremendous job of recruiting, but Luke brought it up last week, and we saw it evident on Saturday. He cannot perform in big games. The play calling, nobody shows up. They looked unprepared on Saturday. And Ohio State just exploited our weaknesses. Drew Allard wasn't ready for his big game. Just a lot of failure for the Penn State football team. Obviously, some upside. I mean, defense holding them to only 20 points it's not terrible. And I won't say it's good because Marvin Harrison made Kalen King look like a third-round pick when he's been going in mocks as a first-round pick. I mean, he definitely didn't look all that great, but a lot to work from. And, hey, you're not out of it yet. You still got potentially winning the Michigan game, and I don't think James Franklin is going to show up to that game either. It would surprise me a whole lot after that catastrophe against Ohio State. But, hey, you got to have some optimism as a Penn State fan. However, after the season, James Franklin can't get it done against Michigan. I'm going to have to agree to the poll. They got to fire him. You got to move on. Sure, he's a great recruiter. He still doesn't show up to the big game. So, yeah, I'm going to agree to the poll.
Yeah, I'm agreeing as well, and I agree before this game. This was just confirmation for me of all that I already knew. I'll read a few stats for you that I found on Twitter. He is 2 for 12 on the road against top 25 teams. He's 0 for 10 on the road against top 10 teams. He's 1-9 against Ohio State, and he's 1-12 versus top 5 teams. So, and when it comes down to it, if you want to make a college football playoff, which is the next step, you're going into a new Big Ten next year where you play these guys on the road, where you play these bigger schools at home, on the road, all these kinds of things. You're going to have to win a lot of these games. It's not just going to have to be 1 or 2 games against Ohio State, against Michigan. It's going to be Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Washington, all these teams stacked up every year. And on top of that, you're still getting the tough, like Wisconsin's of the world, Michigan States of the world, where they look down bad pretty much right now, but who knows what they are in a year? You never know. Yeah. To me, that's been like that the whole time. And you brought up not being prepared. That was the main thing. If you really watch it, the game, defensively, not even close. I think we were the better team, and it's not close.
100%.
Quarterback-wise, it looked even, but I think talent-wise, I thought we had the better talent.
100%. I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not sold on McCord even after that game. Like, he
looked like shit.
He'll throw slants to Marvin Harrison. It's like,
no.
If Penn State has that receiver, we can do a whole lot. Franklin, stop recruiting O-linemen, stop recruiting linebackers, stop recruiting the defense is great. Let's start recruiting some wide receivers to go catch the balls from your 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, it's a joke. And to me, the most glaring stat and what everyone's talking about is 1 for 16 on third down. It's really 0 for 15. They got a garbage time.
Oh, that was embarrassing.
Yeah, so they get, they're really 0 for 15. And to me, that is a complete, you can call it whatever you want. You can call talent, whatever you want. They lost the game in the second quarter when it was tied 3-3. They had the ball. Own 45-yard line on 3rd and 1. They threw it and then punt the ball. So that's one of those 0 for 15. And that I
Do
think
the
happens 2 different
goddamn
times.
push.
Yeah, do anything. And to me, that goes immediately towards lack of preparation and lack of creativity. And both of those things completely fall on the coach. I get it. The quarterback looked like shit. And I'm not here to defend him and act like a fanboy. However, I do believe that they did nothing to help him. And they had the better team. So at the end of the day, you look at it and you say, well, offensively for Ohio State, they look like shit. And I said it last Monday. I said, if you find a way to score 23 points, you will win the game. I think it's a 24. If you score 24 points, you will win the game. And that was made completely true. 100%. If they score 24 points, you win the game. And guess what? The way the defense was playing, they should have scored 24 points easily.
100%.
All like very, very, very easily. The way the defense is playing and the gifts that McCord was giving him. Ryan Day, I mean, he looked like shit too, calling plays for that whole entire first half. I think it was 10-6 going into the second half or something like that. I mean, what a joke and what a disgrace. And I see comment, at least we're not USC. I'm not looking at that anymore. I'm tired of these Rose Bowls. I'm tired of all this shit. I want to win. And we were both there. We were both there at Columbus. Let me tell you something. This is a one-way rivalry, especially when you're 1-9 in your last 10 matchups against them.
They could care less.
They don't care. They don't care.
They see us as their little brother.
Right. It's kind of similar to, and I was talking to somebody about this. It's kind of similar how we play Maryland and it's seen as like a rivalry. We don't see it that way because we kick their ass all the time. But I'm here to tell you this. My prediction is that they would lose at Maryland, they'd lose Ohio State, and they'd lose Michigan. I'm staying by that. Maryland's a pretty good football team. They're going to have to go on the road and win on the road. Not something that, I feel confident in at all. I don't think we're much better than Maryland to where we can go on the road and play like shit and win. And this is my biggest thing above all of it. Biggest thing. He's asked after the game, the coach, he said, I can't look at the bigger picture. We can't look at the bigger picture. We have to look at it right now. As a fan base, when I look at 1-9 against an opponent you have to beat to make the playoff, to go to the next step, I think it's time to look at the bigger picture. I think we're about 5 years behind on the bigger picture. And for you to sit up here 5 years after that and still tell me to shut the fuck up about a bigger picture, I mean, who the hell are you? Go kick rocks. The other thing is he's talking about, I don't think we saw, or I think we saw, the two best teams in the country. What are you fucking kidding me? And then after the game, the day after, he's saying, let's gather the troops and we need all of you guys for Indiana.
Rally for Indiana.
We need all you guys for Indiana.
When has Indiana been relevant?
Yeah, I'm giving you the double bird for that one, James Franklin. I'm done with you. I'm tired of you. Fuck you, honestly. I'm tired of it. You want to run a high school program? I think you'd be great at that. You want to coach at San Jose State and build a culture and win a few big games or whatever. You could do that. Upset, whatever. Because he built the program back to what it is, which is second fiddle in the Big Ten. Now we're tired of that. It's time to make the next step. And when it comes down to it, you're not the guy for it. And it's as clear as day. And in terms of who would be better, that's the next question. Who would be better? I get it. He sucked into Miami. But how could you not tell me Manny Diaz? Because he's dominated the one side of the ball. He clearly, he's loved by the fans. He clearly can recruit. That's been known. And, if he gets a good offensive coordinator with him, which we don't have right now, I think he deserves to be the head coach, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't begun looking forward yet, but definitely Manny Diaz is a name to watch when you're looking at the head coaching. But you're talking about a team that needs to win now. And I'm not saying that because, we got all these guys that are sophomores, that are freshmen, that are juniors. I'm not saying that. You now have these expansions of these divisions, and you're going to have to play UCLA, USC, Washington, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio State. That's 7 tough fucking games. You're not you could go 4-3 in those games and lose. This is the last year that James Franklin has a spiteful opportunity to make it into the playoff, and he just blew it straight away.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. You play like shit in a normal year and get embarrassed the way you did, you're way lower than 10 on the ranking. The country's just had a really down year right now. They're not, there's not really a whole lot of great teams. So they're fortunate to even be ranked at 10 right now if the whole country wasn't playing like a bunch of dog shit. And they're lucky with that too. And that other thing is like, you're going to get me to rally for Indiana. You're lucky to get me to rally for Michigan. So shut the fuck up. I'm tired of your bullshit. I'm tired of buying tickets and buying merchandise for you and your middle of the pack mediocre program. I'm not buying into your shit anymore. I'm done with it. That's essentially.
I just don't know. Like you brought it up, the 3rd and 1 feed. You have the Gatorade Player of the Year. That's been like he was like the first couple of games. I was like, hey, maybe like he's got a chance at the Heisman. Fucking feed him the rock. And what fucking go forward. Like, what are you doing? The play calling is embarrassing.
What are you doing to recruit? The way he's recruiting, which is fine, but he's not coaching that way, is he wants to win these big games and win all these games with offensive line play, running it down your throat, and then playing good defense. He's not coaching that way when you're throwing the ball on 3rd and 1. So when you sit up in April and, in February, whatever the heck, you're talking about who you're recruiting, if you're going to throw the ball on 3rd and 1 and you're going to, create 3rd and longs every single possession, it seems, maybe you should have a new recruiting tactic because you're not using what you've recruited. You're not. If you want to win like the Steelers have won and the Ravens have won, running and defense, you're not coaching that way. You're not coaching your team's strengths. What are you doing? Where's your creativity? Where's playing to your strengths? Where's being prepared going into a big game? You only had fucking 10 opportunities at this and won one time. I mean, what a joke. What a disgrace. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being second fiddle, really third fiddle now because Michigan seems to be on top.
100%.
Third fiddle to everybody now, I guess you could say.
It's
so
just
what a joke.
It's embarrassing. Like, I get you're playing against a dominant front seven in Ohio State. I believe they're the 3rd defense. We're the 1st. Run the damn ball. Run the damn ball down their throats. Pound it down their throats. You have Fashanu. I get he's a backside tackle. Fucking use him in the run game. I mean, you got a solid O-line, and you're like, let's throw the damn ball. Sure, you got a 5-star quarterback. You also have 2 5-star, like 2 great running backs. It blows my mind.
Yeah, that's how you get ahead. You run and keep their offense on the field. Then you get ahead. Now what happens, they didn't do that, and so now you're behind. And now you're complaining that you're not getting enough pass protection to, get your receivers open, who, by the way, are not good, and also giving your quarterback enough time to throw. How about we roll our athletic quarterback out in the pocket? How about we do something like that? Get a little bit creative. Get a little bit creative. I mean, a little bit. What a disgrace. I mean, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of coaching from like my couch or the stands, whatever the fuck. And guess what? I'm not going in the Indiana game. And I guess I'll go to the Michigan game, but I'll call that my last straw. How about that? That'll be that.
It's just like, who are you? You're passing to Liam Clifford, like Harrison Wallace, like these guys that are just, they're going to be 4th, 5th round picks. Like, you got 2 first-round pick running backs in your backfield.
And you're not using them, but you're banking on these receivers that you've not even recruited, but you've got through like transfer portals who are new to the program and all this shit.
Dante Cephas, bro. Yeah. He had so much hype and just hasn't done jack shit.
Because, again, this is what I said. These guys you have to grow, recruit, and develop. You can't just pick up from San Jose State, who broke the franchise, the program record in receiving receptions in San Jose State, and then you drop them at Columbus and at home against Michigan and 1st-round picks all over the damn field and expect, we're not going to miss a beat. That's not what's going to happen. And they're paying the price for it right now. And the other thing, I said it, I'll keep repeating myself. If that's what you're going to do and that's how you want to recruit and that's how you want to win, how about you coach that way? How about it? How about we run the ball? How about we keep their offense off the field? How about we play power football, play action football, throw the ball down the field football? They don't do that, and they won't do that, and that's why this bum ass of a coach, this fraud of a coach, no matter who we go up against, I have no confidence. None.
Yeah, sure. Okay, before we touch on more of college football and more of the Big Ten especially, we're going to kick it off. to one of our sponsors, Royal Billiards. So we'll be back after this quick commercial break.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor, and fun. Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
Check out Royal Billiards, all your man cave needs. They got hot tubs too. So we'll take a quick look into the rest of the Big Ten. So if you wait just a second. So Rutgers with a dominant win over Indiana. James Franklin wants us to look forward to Indiana. I'm looking right past them at Maryland. I'm looking right past them at Michigan. Why do we need to be ready for Indiana? They've
that
never
actually
caused us any
pisses
problems.
me off so much. You're gonna sit up here and be 1-9 against Ohio State in your career. You're gonna seem to lose to Michigan every year. You're gonna be 1-12 against top 25 opponents in your career, and then beg and plead for the fan base to get hype about Indiana again after you just blew yet another game against a big team, and it was utterly your fault. Shut the fuck up. The last person I want to hear that from is you.
Yeah,
the last person.
So out in the Big Ten West, you got a matchup against Nebraska and Nebraska, taking this 17-9. Wisco, Illinois, Wisco taking this 25-21. Minnesota beating Iowa, very impressive win. Wow. Oh, wow.
Dropped it.
Almost, what a catch. And then Michigan just absolutely manhandling Michigan State. I don't know the last time Michigan State has been relevant, but it's still a Big Ten conference win. It's still a rivalry matchup. So we'll see. I mean, Michigan is probably the front runner right now. It's embarrassing.
I completely agree with this comment 100%. You talk about, the next step, and it's only getting harder with these new opponents coming in. And then the weakest on your schedule is then going to be like maybe a Wisconsin or something like that. Or, obviously you'll get like a West Virginia or something like that. But, the bottom of your schedule are these Wisconsin games. And those are typical upset games, interconference. That happens all the time on the road, especially with this bum-ass coach. I can't trust him, at all. I completely agree. There's no reason to defend this guy anymore. You want to take a next step. You want to make the playoff. It's required that you win these games, and he's never done it outside of one time, and it feels like it was freaking 15 years ago when they blocked that kick at home against Ohio State in the whiteout. So I'm done with it.
They beat USC or Oregon. I think they beat USC right now. I mean,
I'm telling you, and I mean this. I don't give a shit. I'm done comparing talent because they were the better football team roster-wise than Ohio State. I'm done comparing talent. As long as they go up against a competent opponent, I have no faith. That's what – if there's anything I learned from that game, it's that. Sure. It's a step down. It went from, can he win with bigger talent? I don't know. He can't out-coach somebody to now, as long as we're playing somebody good, I have no faith at all.
Yeah. I mean, as we take a look at the rest of around the top 25, we got Ole Miss defeating Auburn, pretty close win, 7-point win. Air Force somehow cracking the top 25. When the heck have they been in the top 25? Oklahoma, slight win over UCF. Oregon taking care of things against Washington State. You had Alabama taking care of Tennessee. Mizzou over South Carolina. Tulane over North Texas. Texas over Houston. And then
not a quiet week in college football.
Other than that, you just Utah over USC. USC just keeps on plummeting. It's really showing that they just don't have a defense present for Caleb Williams, and it's looking like, hey, he might be going back to USC for another year, which would be very surprising.
No chance.
But we'll see.
No chance.
He wants part ownership in a team. You saw that.
Garcia just did it again. Wow. He is on a absolute
LCS MVP lock.
Yeah.
But you see Caleb Williams wants part ownership in the team that drafts him.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing to me.
I don't believe that to be true. I think a bunch of this.
Oh, it's his dad. It's his dad.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. I think a lot of athletes, fathers have been through this kind of shit before. LeVar Ball, John Morant's father's been very active in some things. Kyrie's, I think, maybe a little bit. I don't really remember, but yeah, I mean that's typical. He'll go to the draft.
Sure.
Because he's sick and tired of losing to fucking Utah too.
Yeah.
So he's gonna go to the draft.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into now the pros. Starting off with your Birds. I mean, I watched the whole game. It was a very dominant showing from the defense, and they showed that they can contain people like Tyreek Hill and fucking Tua and Raheem Mostert. Mostert, I think, had 43 yards, if that. And Tyreek Hill, I mean, he exploited some of their holes. Like, he sat in some of their holes, but they just couldn't get the run game going. And in the end of it, the secondary prevailed. I mean, it was a very dominant win. You held them, I think, to 7. No, you held them to 10 points.
10 points offensively.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, 17 total with the pick 6.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here we go. This is perfect timing for this. I was going to save it, but I mean, this is pretty good timing. It looks like the Niners just failed a tush-push conversion. So I'm going to get into like a quick little thing here. To all you idiots that want to ban this rule, go to hell. I don't know what you're talking about. This is no bias whatsoever. I got into an argument last night with somebody while watching the game. People are looking at this the wrong way, saying it's an unstoppable play, and it is unstoppable, okay? What the thing to stop, the one game we've lost this season was against the Jets, in which we did not run that play one time. And the thing is that when you go up against us, it's not 1st and 10, it's 1st and 9. That's what it is. And as long you cannot let us get the 3rd and 1. You can't let it happen. It can't happen. And so what happened last night is what happened. And when you go up to guys like Steph Curry, who are really good at making threes, and you go up to Zion Williamson, who's really good at, flying around the rim and dunking, it's like telling them you can't shoot threes, you can't dunk, because we are doing something that is built around our strengths. There's nothing unfair about it, because when you go across the entire league, it seems that these teams can't do it. I think they gave him the first down, but he definitely didn't get it, and he just threw a pick.
No. They ran it again.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. But what I'm saying is that there's nothing unfair about it. You see the Giants run it, and 2 guys get hurt. We run it 7 times in a game. We've got it all 7 times. No one gets hurt. That's being good at something. That's looking at, the way you can go about, the game and saying, I have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds, and I have one of the best centers to ever play the game, the best center in the game today. This is what I'm going to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Steph Curry's really good at shooting threes. You're going to tell him to stop shooting threes? Zion Williamson can dunk the shit out of the ball. You're going to tell him, hey, you can't dunk. You can't do that. So you can't play to your strength anymore in sports. You can't do that anymore. That's fucking ridiculous. It is. And guess what? When Jalen Hurts is done playing here, whenever that is, and the new guy comes in, that play's not going to work. It's not going to work. Just like it's not working across the entire league. So that's my rant on that. But with the Birds, the quarterback's a little concerning in that he's not healthy. And he's, it seems to be a common theme every time he plays is that he's not 100% throughout the whole season. But Hurts.
Yeah.
The main problems I have is that his awareness in the pocket has been way off compared to last year. It seems like he's not aware of when he's getting pressured and holding the ball for too long. That's my main thing and why these turnovers are happening. And the offensive coordinator in the red zone, kind of similar to Franklin in a way. Where's your creativity? Where are you getting prepared? It seems like the same thing every single time. We're like last year, where's that run RPO to, AJ going out and on a drag? Where's that play? I haven't seen that once all season in the red zone, and that worked a million different times. I just don't understand what they're doing in the red zone. That's a major concern. But going into it, I said it last Monday, this Dolphins team is not built for playoff football, big, smash mouth football where you get pounded in your throat. What are you going to do about it type football? And that's what happened. I think they're a good team. It's great to beat a good team, and it's great to dominate a good team, no doubt about it. But I think in terms of what we have on our team, we are to a T, have what it takes to beat a team like that. And that's really what it came down to.
Yeah. No, I mean, the one play that stood out to me when you're talking about red zone offense is the it was like 3rd and goal from like the 8,
And
I want to say.
Yeah.
And he ran a QB draw, and Hurts hasn't looked that speedy, I got to be honest. He hasn't looked the same as what he looked last year and the previous years. I mean, he just doesn't look that quick. So I was a little shaken up by that play call, but nonetheless, they got the job done. They
do that thinking like, I'm going to go for it on 4th. And then what happens is that they
get 3
yards. Yeah, they don't get enough out of it. So
it's like 4th and 5.
Yeah, and another thing, you do it enough, every team sees it. I mean, it's a joke. I don't know why they keep trying it. It hasn't worked. I haven't seen it work once in the red zone.
But the QB draw.
Yeah, so I don't know why we keep going back to it, but whatever.
Yeah. With your little Eagles rant, I'll piggyback off with my little Giants rant. Finally got back in the win column, and Tyrod Taylor showed, hey, he's a good backup. I mean, he's had numerous chances that he's gotten fired from. I mean, for instance, before Herbert, who was it? Was it in Buffalo? There was somebody. Anyhow, there was some gig before Herbert, and then Herbert, obviously the doctor accidentally stabbed him in the ribs with the needle. How true is that? Got benched for Davis Mills, came to the Giants, and now he's getting his opportunity to sling the ball, show what he's worth. I mean, he hasn't really had the opportunity to start many games, but he showed up on Sunday, and sure, you can say only 14 points. Wing Martindale, thank the Lord you got your head out of your ass and you showed why you were a great defensive coordinator last year and that you could repeat it again this year. To all the Kayvon Thibodeau haters, fuck you. 5.5 sacks, on pace for 14.5.
Fred Warner
down. He's been running loose. Finally I think we had 6 sacks to Washington's 3. So 3, I believe, is a season low, even with no Thomas, Schmitz, Evan Neal. Please, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, I don't care who does it. Move Evan Neal to right guard. Like, they did it with Flowers in Washington, and he became something. He got paid in Jacksonville this past offseason. Why not try it? You got nothing else to do. I mean, he was a left tackle in college, and right tackle is easier, and he still can't perform. I seriously don't understand it. Saquon found the end zone. Darren Waller found the end zone. Thank God. It was getting a little worried. It was getting like a Kenny Golladay signing. I mean, he hasn't found the end zone until this week. And now you got the Jets this upcoming Sunday. And sure, we can't look past the Jets. It's a neutral site, basically, since we both play at MetLife, obviously. Daniel Jones probably will be back, probably will be healthy. Maybe Andrew Thomas, maybe John Michael Schmidt's back. It's looking not terrible. And why I say that is because for the teams contending for a wild card loss this past Sunday, Giants are 1 game out of the wild card. The NFC is a horrible division compared to the AFC. I mean, the NFC, you have Philly, you have the Niners, who are probably going to go down to the Vikings tonight. The Lions went down in embarrassing fashion against the Ravens. The 4th division winner is probably going to be the Falcons, if I had to guess, looking at it right now. And then wild card, I mean, they're in it right now. Who are you going to put ahead of them? You're going to put the Seahawks ahead of them. You're probably going to, you could argue you could put the Packers ahead of them. Who else are you putting ahead of them? I mean, Dallas right now, obviously, but it's not looking terrible. You're having all the puzzle pieces align at the right moment. It's going to be a hard decision for Dable and for the coaching staff to say, yo, we're starting Daniel Jones this week, or hey, we're starting Tyrod Taylor. He has the hot hand. I honestly don't know the right move. My opinion, you start Daniel Jones for the first drive. He looks shaky. He doesn't look all that. Put Tyrod back in the game. Sure, someone might argue, oh, it's going to mess up his rhythm. It's going to mess up Daniel Jones, and you're going to look the same. Keep the high hand. There's no right or wrong in this argument, I think, right now, but a lot to look forward to for the rest of this season. I looked at the schedule. I mean, realistically, you could probably squeak out a good 5 to 7 wins and possibly sneak into the playoffs. So I have some optimism finally as a Giants fan, even after being 2-5.
Yeah, and you should. But, this goes back to what I said in the offseason, and that's great. And if you make the playoffs, great. Fred Warner's back. But if you make the playoffs, great. But that goes to what I said. You pay a mediocre quarterback a lot. Again, this is coming from someone who seems to defend Daniel Jones all the time. You pay him a whole bunch of money. It seems you're stagnant at this middle of the pack of the conference, middle of the pack of the league area for however long he's on the team, however long you're paying him for. So it seems like it'll be years for that, even if you do make the playoffs. So tough spot to be in. You still kind of stink and you get no great draft pick out of it. So that sucks. But I definitely see where you're coming from in terms of, you want to make the playoffs. You're a fan of a team.
100%.
You're not rooting to lose and get a better draft pick. Fuck all that. You want to make the playoffs.
Sure. Before we kick it over to the rest of the NFL Week 7 action, we're going to kick it off to our second sponsor, Carlino. So we'll be right back.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Yeah, so check out Carlino's. And while we're on the top, Eagles are relevant in conversation. Big trade went down for them. All-pro safety Kevin Byard to the Eagles for some late-round draft picks and Terrell Edmonds. It just always seems like Howie Roseman just fleeces teams for these pretty good players, guys that can perform at the right time and at the position that they need. So, I mean, I thought it was a very good signing. Obviously, as a Giants fan, I'm not too happy about it. I mean, it's just time after time that they get these good players for little to nothing. But yeah, so Luke, what were your thoughts on the signing?
100%. And I have a big question. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. But to me, it's like, first of all, if you're the Titans and you just made this mistake and you got a first-round pick and you made this mistake, why do it again? I went to the same team. I don't understand how, they let this happen and let him come to us again for what they gave up. I think the whole draft pick thing in the NFL is a fucking disgrace. I think if you have a shot to win, you should do this 1,000,000%. I feel like if this is the market for guys like that who are all pros, top 5 in their position, then there should be 1,000,000 trades like this per year where teams who, feel like they have a shot at something this year go ahead and say, I'm willing to give up a 4th or 5th round pick that probably will be nothing for me anyway, in order to get a stud that's going to help me win right now. So I have a lot of question with that, like a lot of it. And I'm not complaining. You add a guy to an already unbelievable defense to what seems weird to me because of how unhealthy we are, especially in the secondary and the safety spot. Adding him covers a massive hole. He's played 7 straight seasons without getting hurt, plus these 6 games. Knock on wood that he stays that way. So reliable guy, all pro. You get him in a building, with A.J. Brown guys and Julio Jones guys he's familiar with. And he's from Philly as well, which kind of fits, this whole Zacchaeus and DeAndre Swift, aspect to the team too. Unbelievable trade. I don't get why more teams do this. It makes no sense. So, yeah, I'm very happy about it and makes the team better. Sean Desai, I'll save that, actually. We'll save that.
Yeah. So as we look a little bit around the NFL, you had the Jaguars over the Saints. I watched the ending very briefly, and I was like, oh, my God, like Foster Moreau just tied the game. And then I looked at my phone like 10 minutes later, and they lost the game. I was like, he dropped that ball. Like, what is up with that? But, yeah, the Jaguars pull off a surprising victory against the Saints in New Orleans. New Orleans was actually favored. I was very surprised about that. Browns with a stunner over the Colts. You had the Bills lose to the Patriots. Very surprising. Now 2 back-to-back close games. And, I mean, 2 should have been losses. The Giants obviously couldn't get it done, but the Patriots getting it done in a tough divisional matchup. You see these divisional matchups constantly being a competition, regardless of, record and how these teams are doing. Going back on the Titans thing, they did it because they're in a selling area.
My problem with that is if you're in a selling era, you should have known that this offseason. I mean, you have no type weapons. You have and DeAndre Hopkins was signed very late. And, I mean, he's at the end of his peak, it seems, for sure. Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. Offensive line questionable. King Henry at the end of his run, it seems. Defense always kind of competitive. If you knew, you should have known you were going into the season like that. And you would have gotten much more back versus now -6 games on his contract. So still, I don't give a shit what era they're in. They should have known this earlier and pushed the market a little further. Now they had to rush it and, make a market in the middle of a season where teams that might have been in are now out. And now who knows, what assets certain teams are giving up. So that's still their fault. I don't even care. That's still their fault.
Yeah. No, I just don't know how you rebuild mid-season. I would have either rebuild this off-season or the off-season upcoming with the draft capital. But what am I to say? I'm not an NFL general manager. But the Bears beating the Raiders. Tyson Bagent, I don't even know where he's from or where he came from or if he was a rookie, but getting the job done in replacement of Justin Fields. Justin Fields going down to a nasty injury. Falcons pulling off another close victory against the Buccaneers. Luke's wagon, keeping on going, keeping on moving forward. Touched on it earlier. You had the Ravens beating the Lions, absolutely manhandling them 38-6. Lamar Jackson looking like a human highlight reel again. Cardinals, Seahawks. Probably a favorite to get an NFC wildcard spot. And then you had the Steelers beating the Rams. Very surprising victory. Obviously, 2 very good defenses, but in the end, it was the Rams. Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
classic Vikings.
They are going to win this game.
They're going to win the game.
No, that was it was field goal.
Sorry, field goal.
No, you're good. You had the Broncos beating the Packers. So very surprising victory there. Packers, they're in contention for a wild card spot now, but we'll see if that comes back to bite them in the end of the season. Chiefs taking care of divisional business against the Chargers, and then we're about to end the 49ers game. 49ers getting the ball back with about 1:10, down 5 points. So we'll see if Brock Purdy can get the job done or if he throws another turnover just like last possession. But yeah, so that was this past week in the NFL. We're looking forward to week 8. Who the Eagles got? I mean, I mentioned the Giants got the Jets earlier.
Yeah, we got a tough one that's not being seen as a tough one at Washington, a team that's given us a whole lot of trouble. In the last 2 years, really forever, it seems. Washington's had not our number, but given us a lot of trouble more than they should. Basically, because they can't stop what we could do, but they can slow it down more than anybody. In that they run great stunts in their defensive line against what we do best, which is our offensive line and dominating time of possession and things like that. So, I don't know. We should expect a win, but we always, when we play Washington, especially on the road, have to maintain all expectation because you never know.
Yeah. And then our other divisional foe, you have the Cowboys going up against the Rams in week 8, and that's it for our week 8 preview. We'll then talk about the MLB playoffs as it's looking to be the Rangers going into the World Series. My midseason prediction, very surprising. I took the Rangers and the Braves. Who'd you take at the midseason? I think you rode with me.
Yeah,
No. You took the Astros.
Braves, Astros. So I was seeming to be, 0 for 2.
Yeah. But hey, nothing. I don't think this is anything's happening. It's 11-3, top 9. And then you got a game 7. So you see on the bottom of the screen, Phillies falling apart. They're blowing these. Oh wow!
Let's
Purdy
go.
pick.
Let's fucking
that
go.
Was embarrassing.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Once again.
Yup. I
let your
defended him
quarterback
last
beat
week,
you.
and I just don't understand it.
When he has to win a game, he's yet to do it. So we'll see.
Yep. And now we see a scrum in the middle of the field with 49ers offensive line.
Losers.
But yeah, going back on it, you got the Phillies, the Diamondbacks forcing Game 7 tonight. They came out with their bats scorching. I mean, we saw back-to-back from Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel. And then we saw an RBI. I forget. I believe from Alec Thomas in the first to put them up 3-1, and then they weren't looking back from there. We saw dominance from Merrill Kelly after getting rocked last outing. I think he let up 2 against Schwarber and then 1 against Harper, 1 to Castellanos. He just got shelled that game. But yeah, bounce back tonight. And then game 7, we got Brandon Pfaadt against Ranger Suarez, 2 guys that have shown up so far. Pfaadt winning against Suarez. I think Suarez wasn't as dominant in that game, but has shown dominance in the series previously. So yeah, I mean, you're looking at 2 teams that are getting hot at the right time, and it's going to come down to, can the Phillies hit the long ball? I mean, that's been their success. Yeah. That's been their way of scoring. That's been their way of winning. Can they hit the ball over the right field fence? Can Schwarber get high? Can Bryce Harper get high? Can it be Turner? Can it be Real Muto? Can Castellanos find his bat again? I mean, they got a whole lot of guys that can hit it out, but what the Phillies need to do is they need to hit the ball over the fence to win.
Yeah, no doubt. And the real game that pisses everybody off is Game 4, and that's what you look at right now because it's one game, and you are the better team. Going into it, obviously fans are expecting to win, but at the same time, you win that game. Who knows what happens with the series? And you probably do win it, because you win another one, especially, Game 5 with Wheeler pitching. That, inning from Kimbrel to blow that game was absolutely atrocious. He looked good today, but no one will give him his credit because it didn't really matter. So, yeah, I'm going back to an earlier comment. Unpopular opinion, Jalen looked like a late-season Carson Wentz last night. I wouldn't go that far, but I see what you're saying in terms of holding on to the ball and not being aware of pressure. Definitely the case. That's what I said was my main concern, so I'm on the same page with you there. But, let's, keep expectations what they are. He still went out at the end of that game, took complete control, got his boy the ball, and, cruised to a win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can even compare him to Jalen Hurts, but even if we do make it to the World Series, we're so fucked against the Rangers. That's
I wouldn't say
that's
that
very
at
debatable because you guys both have, I think, 2 very dominant front 3 starters, and it's ultimately going to come down to how the Rangers maneuver their rotation. I think Game 4 we saw forgetting who we saw. It was Heaney. Right. It was Heaney, and Heaney looked horrible against the Astros. I think he was pulled after an inning and a third, if that. Just looking atrocious in that game. And then I thought they brought in Dane Dunning and then John Gray. So it'll be interesting to see how the Rangers show up in the World Series. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a toss-up, I think, in Game 7.
Here's this question for you, though. Last game Wheeler played was Saturday, I believe. Was Saturday night or right? Saturday night. That was that night. So he played Saturday. You get Sunday off, you get Monday off, and then you're playing on Tuesday. So that's really 3 days off. Does he have, 15 to 20 pitches in him?
So are you saying, are you going to bring him in the mid-game? Or are you going to bring him
mid-game, which again is a risky play because it's not what he's used to doing. He's used to setting the tone, so it's completely different. It's a completely risky play, and he probably won't even.
The thing is, I just don't know if he's built for situational pitching. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's the question.
Are you going to bring him in and be like, "Yo, you're facing Christian Walker, you're facing Lourdes Gurriel, and then you're facing Tommy Pham"?
That's the question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Before we give our NLCS predictions and then World Series predictions, we're going to cut it to our final commercial break with hats.com. So we'll be right back.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more.
with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat John. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
Yeah, so check out Hats.com. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Before we get into our classic shout-out of the week, we're going to give our NLCS predictions, NLCS MVP, and then look ahead at the World Series. So I'll start off with my NLCS prediction. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. I have no faith in the Phillies after tonight. I think Fott's going to come in, lights out. Obviously, he's a righty going up against three powerful lefties. Or I shouldn't say three powerful lefties. You got two powerful lefties and then a lefty that can get the ball in play, and another one in Marsh that can also get the ball in play. But, yeah, I'm going to take the Diamondbacks, and I'm going to take give me Ketel Marte as the World Series MVP. He's been having a series. He's going to win the World Series MVP.
I'll agree.
Not World Series, NLCS MVP.
I'll agree with you that if they do win, it'll definitely be Marte that takes the MVP. But I'm going to go with the Phillies, and the only reason I say this and the only reason to stay optimistic is you saw it when they blew that game. You saw it in, I believe it was earlier on. I'm trying to remember. Earlier in the season, they went through stretches like this where they felt like they went down. And it's like, what do you do? How do you bounce back from it? And they did. So going into this game, I think it's a resilient group, and that's what it comes down to. Sure, you want to break it down to bullpen, and that is what it comes down to, especially in one-game series. You're seeing it tonight. And you can do that all you want. I'm putting it as simple as they're at home. They've been resilient all year. As a fan, there's no reason to believe that they shouldn't win this game. So I'll keep it simple. And MVP could flip depending on what happens in this game, especially if there's a big play and someone makes a big play. But I think it's got to be Schwarber having 5 home runs in the series. That's a pretty big deal. But then again, that could totally be changed.
Altuve do it.
Altuve.
He's a ninth inning hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty spot on with Schwarber. I mean, it would take a lot for him not to win the World Series or the NLCS MVP, excuse me. But looking forward, so I have the D-backs against the Rangers. You obviously have the Phillies against the Rangers. I'm going to stick with my boys. Give me the Rangers. I think they'll take this one in – I'll give them in 6. I'll give them a little leadway. I'll take them in 6. And I think Adolis is going to win this series. So give me Corey Seager next series. Give me Corey Seager, World Series MVP.
Okay. I guess we're doing this. It might look stupid now if they lose tomorrow, but I'll go Phillies beat the Rangers in the World Series, and classic Bryce Harper wins World Series MVP. And I'll say this now, because we don't go on, until the World Series start and really get in the gear. If that is what happens and Bryce Harper is a World Series MVP, I believe – and this could be a hot, crazy take.
I think I know where you're going here.
He could be on a lot of Philly Mount Rushmores in terms of sports and where he's ranked, especially in the younger generations. Because you're talking about an organization and a franchise that was absolutely dead until they signed somebody like that. Now you see Kyle Schwarbers and the Castellanos, and you get, guys like Trey Turners of the world, and Brandon Marsh appears, and you get guys like that. It all started with him. It kick-started with him, and obviously it's an Eagles town. It always will be. Second is no doubt the Phillies. Red October's everything here. If he brings this home, it all started with him. 1,000,000%. All momentum started when he signed here. So if he brings it home and is the World Series MVP, I think in a lot of Philadelphia fans' eyes, especially the younger generation, mainly those guys around my age, he will be in Philly Mount Rushmores because he will be carrying a Philadelphia era. You can't call it a dynasty. A Philadelphia Phillies era, and it all started with him.
Sure. No, I thought you were actually going to go, with his injury that he was just going to call it quits and hang up the cleats.
Oh, fuck no. No, not the way he's built, especially, when you lost one and then won one and he's still that young making all the money.
No, you are
he's
right.
Gonna have a lot
that's
of
why
opportunity.
I was throwing for a curveball.
No, he's going to have a lot of opportunity to keep going back. So I think 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niners just lost. Thank you.
Right. And he gets the city 110%.
His love for the city is unreal.
Love for the city, he reps it, and what he says before and after games is kind of similar, to what we rave about Jalen Hurts, and he just gets it. He understands it. He's not an excuse guy. When they boo, he's for it, and so same thing with Jalen. So I'm with it 100%.
Yeah. Not much more else. So before we sign off, we're gonna do our classic segment that we always sign off with our shout out of the week. My shout out of the week, I touched on it earlier. I'll keep it. Darren Waller finally, finding the end zone, finally having the good game. Daniel Jones, I hope you do the same that Tyrod Taylor did with him in getting the ball in his hands. I'm gonna get up his stat line right now. Finished with a touchdown. Excuse me one sec. So 7 receptions on 8 targets with 98 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's what you traded him for. That's what you gotta get out of him every single game. So shout out to him, and also shout out to the defensive line finally getting home. Dexy with 2 sacks, Leo with 1, Kayvon with 1.5, and then a couple other guys getting in on the fun. So shout out to Darren Waller and the defensive line of the New York Giants.
Yeah, quick little shout out. Now my shout out, Manny Diaz. We just gave you love. No doubt should be head coach of the Nittany Lions. The way he's coaching the defense, the way he's recruiting. I get it. He sucked in Miami when he was head coach, but this could be different. We'll see. My real shout out, though, I also touched on mine earlier, Sean Desai. Injuries in the secondary, doesn't matter. Dominant defense against one of the more fast, unique, and different complex offenses in the entire league. Put up 70 in a game. Only gave up 10 offensive points to them last night. So absolute shout out to you, making the most out of what you have, playing your players' strengths. You get a guy in Ricks last night who's undrafted out of Alabama and LSU, covering Tyreek Hill. I had no idea. I thought that was the worst decision I ever seen. But he made Tua last night 0 for 3 in targeting him. So he's my shout out. Good stuff there. And I'm looking forward to, weeks to come, getting a guy like Byard and what happens there.
Yeah, so that's all we have for tonight. We want to give a shout out to Gleason's Bar and Grill. Gleason's Bar is located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. Use code A2D whenever you dine in, take out, or carry out for 10% off your order. That's Gleason's Bar at steaks.com. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in the comments. I know it's pretty late at night, but we appreciate it. Love all the love and support. And yeah, we'll be back next Monday. So peace out.